Well, I'm happy to be here in Sweden on this conference. Up to now, I've only been to Sweden for holidays. It's the first time with a speech. I'm educated as a physicist, and when I finished my study, the last thing what I would have believed to do a long time in my life is working in city administration. But nevertheless, I did. After a short period in solar energy research, I went to the city of Heidelberg, and I stood there since almost 30 years. And I did so because there I had the opportunity to realize quite a lot of interesting things in the field of energy efficiency, renewable energy, and sustainability, and bring these things really into reality, not into a scientific report that nobody reads, but into reality. And one reality are our efforts on energy efficient building, and the biggest thing among them is the development of a new city district completely in Passivhus standard and using renewable energies. In total, it is a zero emission district as far as you concern the operation of the buildings. Well, this is the long title. I gave my talk, Heidelberg Bahnstadt Concept, Quality Assurance, Monitoring Experience from the largest Passivhus district. At least it is still the largest in the world. Wolfgang Feist already talked about China and the city of Gao-Baidian. They have built or in the process of constructing a district that's even larger and completely realized in Passivhus standard, but it's not yet occupied. It's completely empty. So I enjoy the last months of Heidelberg Bahnstadt being really the largest development in Passivhus standard. Some figures about Heidelberg. It's a tiny city compared to Chinese cities. It's maybe a medium-sized city compared to Swedish cities. 150,000 inhabitants. And a very important thing about Heidelberg is that it is the home of the oldest university in Germany. So it was the first university in Germany. And is still a very good university, and a lot of the inhabitants of Heidelberg are students and scientists, and it's the most important factor in the city. This is another thing what Heidelberg is famous for. It's the Hyderabad Castle and the historic city center. Many people from all over the world visit Heidelberg because of that. Another part of the old city is the old bridge across the Neckar. Well, a very beautiful sight. And indeed, in the meantime, a number of persons even come to Heidelberg due to sustainability and climate protection activities. In 1992, we launched the first municipal climate protection concept. It was not the first, but among of the first that cities put on the way. There were updates. Oh, am I too loud? There were updates in 2004 and 2008, 2014, and now in this week there's again an update in the city parliament. Due to this travel, I missed the event. All municipal buildings are constructed according to Passivhus standard in Heidelberg. I skipped the emission reduction goal. Our goal is to reduce CO2 emissions by 95% until 2050. This is an ambitious goal, but maybe it's not yet enough for realizing the Paris goals.
We are developing a new concept of single-family homes that is making a minimal footprint in the environment, and both in terms of energy consumption and material usage. We call it circuitous. It's Latin and stands for cycle, and we say we are circular life with nature, or if you want, in tune with harmonies of nature. Everyone should be feeling well. We are a team working with this, and you know these two guys here, Simone Kreutzer and Tommy Westlund. They designed the famous circular house in Växjö a few years ago, you may know about. We take a departure from that and breaking new grounds in a new concept doing this. And this guy stands over here, Krists Slokenbergs. He's really a philosopher in technical solutions, and you'll understand why in a moment when he presents. He's also a specialist in Passivhus windows, and he runs the I2 factory in Latvia and Riga, and specialist also in wood, which is very good because this is a wood structure we're presenting. We say only if we manage to build energy efficient houses that everyone wants and everyone can afford, we can reduce the climate impact. And that's very important for us. Because if we're looking at the wider market reaching the average client, and not everyone is focusing on energy efficiency. So it's also important to combine it with a good design and an attractive price, so we get the whole. So that means that if we're lucky, we can get some people just buying a house just because it's a nice house, and we get the climate aspects on the buy. We need to work very smart because we need to have a low cost, and space efficiency is very important. It's almost like a sailboat. All areas has to be used for more than one function if it's really good. The houses should be easy to assemble and disassemble, and we work with the idea of a flat package system. So you can deliver the house with 2 containers perhaps, and that's also a way of efficient. And we don't need any cranes or machines on site. We work manually most of the things. And we make a big contribution, better life for anywhere else. Because it's about low consumption in energy and also the materials we use. And accommodation that everyone can afford. What is the essence of a house for everyone? And I think people in general associate a home with a house with a pitched roof. So that's an archetype that we've been using as a base for the project. And it's also a type that is used in most detailed plans in Sweden, so it's easy to fit in many places. We wanted to have a modern sensation, timeless, stylish and simple, a good feeling about it. Sustainability for us, cost is an important aspect in terms of we want to produce these things and get out into the market. Also, the human being is in focus in terms of you should be able to live a normal life with a high quality and good comfort. And at the same time as you do that, you make a minimal footprint in your way of living in the house. Best way of putting them, or our goal is to have them in groups of maybe 16 or 20 units. In that case, you get a good economy. You can share ecological systems. Specifically, if you are in the countryside, you can use a wastewater system. You can also use energy systems that is shared, which is better economy. Also, instead of using where everyone has their individual plot, you can save land by putting them in communities like this. You can have your private spaces and your common green spaces around. Mindset is very important, in tune with nature. You use the only natural materials, wood, stone, glass and things like that, but use it carefully, not more than you need. And also think about the greenery, bring the green to the buildings. And And if you make them in communities, you can design for active lifestyle by adding form pressures in the surroundings, so you can make people move, motivate local cultivation. It's also good for the environment. Work with ecological system I mentioned before. Water is something that is perhaps it's quite easy now in Sweden, but in the future it may not be. And we need to think about water and using it, reusing the rainwater and wastewater treatment.
Wood is a wonderful material. You look on that. It's a great material. Don't hide it. Right proportions. You need it only as much as it needed, not too much. Reasonable size. Why cranes? My 5-year-old boy could build a house in that height in just a few hours. Why a big man in the teams of tens are building just a simple house a year using cranes? Reasonable size where 2 men can lift can create amazing structures. Locally grown, I would like to translate that word to sustainable. This is the same idea what I see in the food comes to the idea of using wood. And so this is the product, which, not the product, but let's say the basic element which we find out, which is glulam. This is the wood piece, which is that heavy that 2 men can easily lift it. It easily connects to the next elements. And important thing is wood can be too much. Wood can be not okay. Sometimes it's really too much. So you need to think how you use it. And our idea is hidden behind that you try to use it only when it's really needed. In the case when it's not needed, you substitute with a material which is more suitable, which is again insulation made from wood fibers, for instance. So this is a glulam separation, which creates the wall construction, which looks approximately like that. And glulams are with a step of every 60 centimeters, which totally can take the bearing of the house. But in between them, we have an insulation which is covered by glulam, which looks totally the same. So you actually can't tell what is behind. The same actually is like here. It's very hard to distinguish. You can actually hear, but very often it's hard to distinguish what is actually bearing the construction. So if we compare that, I like CLT. So the best project or the biggest project we had with the windows was in Knivsta, which is thick, which is huge, amazing thick CLT house, and I really like CLT. But if we compare our system to the CLT, the switching away from CLT it didn't connect well to the next materials. It did require cranes, and actually it's used too much. It is really significantly much more wood used in the structure, which you cannot lift. It's not reasonable. If we compare even in the U values, our wall is slightly better in U values by using almost 9 cubic meters of the wood less. So that's the basic structure of our house, and I just would like to quickly show you some scenes, how it's built. So every panel, which you see with the hind, is ready to connect its upcoming I-beam. It's well made to connect the floor. It's made already to connect the roof. We have thought about every next connection detail which might have. They're all numbered in beams or are precisely done. And that's approximately how it looks. Even the trusses, actually. The weight of trusses is about 42 kilograms, I think. And that means even the trusses of the house can be lifted by 2 men. Okay, 2 kilos more for Sweden laws, but actually it's very doable. So the window insertion idea came from automotive industry. If you ask yourself, where is the door frame for the car doors? The answer is we cannot really tell because it's the structure of the car. It's that simple. Slim lines of the windows, that's really, really possible. You just need to integrate them. These components must be connected, and you can do it when you see them in elements. This is from first prototype house in Latvia. So we have a floor slab, which is prepared with the connection points to the ground already for the future doors. It's not just a flat concrete, it includes everything. And don't mean here just the pipes, I mean connection of the doors specifically and balcony doors, which is a very big issue. The structure goes up by the manual force, covers with the trusses, I-beams, very special way of putting I-beams.
Ja, exakt.
Så har vi använt 6 olika projekt.